When Oklahoma lawmakers go back to work next month, they're expected to face a much brighter budget picture than in previous years. Still, there are those who warn that the numbers may not be quite as good as projected and say the legislature still faces steep challenges in reversing years of cuts to vital state services.
The Oklahoma Policy Institute's annual budget summit provides a clear look at the state's finances, showing where we've been, where we're at, and where we're going. OPI Executive Director David Blatt says passage of historic tax increases last year have put Oklahoma government on more solid footing and provided long overdue pay raises for teachers, state employees, and healthcare providers.
So there was undeniable and important progress made last year. But we still have a long way to go to fully pull ourselves out of the hole we dug over the past decade.
The Equalization Board in December projected lawmakers will have as much as $612 million more to spend next fiscal year, and Blatt says the amount could be as much as $720 million over what the legislature appropriated in fiscal year 2019. But he also warned that falling oil prices and the potential for another economic slowdown are likely to reduce that amount.
So the $600 to $700 million revenue growth could shrink to $250 to $400 million. That's still a decent sum of money, but not quite the golden ticket that offers all you can eat at the chocolate factory.
Blatt maintains that Oklahoma is still dealing with the repercussions of decisions made to cut state income taxes from 7% in the early 1990s to the present level of 5%.
The annual impact of cutting the top income tax rate is over $1 billion a year in lost revenue. And if you look at all tax cuts that were passed between 2004 and 2016, it's about $1.5 billion a year.
And state services have paid the price, especially in education, where spending per pupil suffered drastic cuts over the past decade.
The State School Board Association, using the most recent national data, showed that Oklahoma is at least $1,669 below the per pupil regional average. And that's without including increases in other neighboring states this past year.
The effects have been felt in the schools.
We continue to see large and growing class sizes, the elimination of programs and electives, especially around the arts.
In a panel discussion following Blatt's remarks, Tulsa School Superintendent Deborah Gist said the magnitude of the education cuts shocked her when she returned to Oklahoma 4 years ago.
We have seen reductions in force to our staff. We have closed schools. We have made cuts to athletic programming and other programming. We have had to scale back our transportation system so that now we have little children having to get to their bus stops when the sun isn't up.
Senate Appropriations Chair Roger Thompson said lawmakers are aware of the problems, noting passage last year of House Bill 1010XX to fund a teacher pay raise.
And so we start saying, are we addressing this? Yes. Are we where we need to be? No, but we are still working that direction.
House Minority Leader Emily Virgin says one of the priorities of her caucus this session will be to ensure that the progress made last year is not undone and that education is fully funded.
We know that teacher pay is a big part of that, but it's not the only part. We have to make sure that classrooms aren't overcrowded, that we have the resources, that our teachers have the resources that they need in the form of teachers' aides and counselors and materials.
Another issue that Virgin wants to address is acceptance of federal dollars to expand Medicaid in Oklahoma.
At this point, it's just foolish that we're sending money to Washington, D.C. that essentially is going to healthcare in other states. It's time to bring those dollars home to expand insurance to a large number of our population.
That's been a tough sell to Republicans who have resisted Medicaid expansion, warning that federal money often comes with strings attached, and there's no guarantee federal matching dollars would continue to flow into the state.
Simply because you write an agreement with the federal government does not mean that's exactly what they're going to do all the way through. If we do it, we'll have a $100 million exposure on the front end of that. We can do that at this particular time. It is a conversation I'm willing to have.
Another conversation that's likely to take place is over State Question 640, which requires a 3/4 majority of both chambers to pass tax increases. Virgin argues that while it's easy to cut taxes, 640 has made it too difficult to raise revenue during economic downturns.
What our caucus would support is lowering that threshold to 2/3 or 60%. We can be flexible on the number, but applying that both to raising revenue and cutting revenue.
Thompson sounded supportive of the idea and thinks it will come up during the session.
I believe that we'll pass something in the legislature to put it to the vote of the people. No. I think if the people want that done, it's going to have to be an initiative petition.
Lawmakers will tackle those issues and more when they return to work February 4th.